Hey everybody, Movie Reviewer Next Door here, and I'm back with another review. And this time I decided to check out a random movie from my library, and that was Paradise Hills. It's a 2019 sci-fi thriller directed by Alice Waddington, and it stars Emma Roberts, Danielle McDonald, Aquafina, Jeremy Irvin, Isa Gonzalez, Arnaud Valois, and Mila Jovovich. In this film, a young woman is sent to Paradise Hills to be reformed, only to learn that the high class facility's beautiful facade hides a sinister secret. So, what did I think of Paradise Hills? Well, first off, I am going to say this is going to be a spoiler review. Um, I will say my thoughts overall on the film before I start the spoilers, but just a warning, I do have to talk about certain things about this movie. Um, what did I think? I went up and down throughout this movie. Because the first half I was like, I can see where they're going, but they're being very upfront in a way that I don't like, where there's okay, I'll just say, as the movie went on, I grew to like it more than I thought I would. It's not a perfect film. If you go into it just looking for gorgeous visuals, there you go. It's a gorgeous movie. Um, a lot of places that I thought were sets and were CGI, and this is not an expensive movie. It was made for like what, 8 million? I think is what it said. About $6.5 million. So not a huge budget they're working with, but some gorgeous CGI shots. Actually, very clever uses of visual effects. The story itself is a bit wonky, and it is something you've kind of seen before. But if you're into this type of sci-fi, like Twilight Zone-ish type of stuff, I think you can get into it. I don't think it's perfect. I'll explain why, but from now on, spoilers. Um, Let me get to the cast. Emma Roberts plays Uma. She is a girl who comes from a royal upper family, and she's kind of being forced into marrying this other guy because they lost all their money, and the mom thinks that marrying the guy will make them rich. And she's basically sent to this reform thing to get her to agree to marry him. Um, Even though we later learn that he is the other the guy that she's being forced to marry is the reason that her father committed suicide, or one of the big parts of it. Um, Emma Roberts is an actress I don't mind. On AHS, I can put up with her. I think she has some fun roles throughout the entire show. She was in The Hunt for like 5 minutes. Um, like I don't mind her. I don't think she's a bad actress. Far from it. But here, I don't know, something about her seems a little bit off. Not She's not at the top of her game like she would be in like an AHS. She's an okay lead, I guess. She has a couple moments where she does have some legitimate emotional bits. Danielle McDonald plays Chloe. She's this kind of she's not even that overweight. They keep saying that she's like overweight. And I know I'm being subjective with this. She's just kind of a little bit chubby, and they're trying to insinuate that, oh, she was brought here because her family doesn't approve of her being overweight, and she's really not. There had to have been better actresses you could have picked for this. Even though I don't love her as an actress, Gabourey Sidibe would be more close to that, but whatever. Um, I've seen her in things like Bird Box. Um, she didn't make much of an impression there, though. I don't think she's a bad actress. I think she did a good job in this film. It's just a shame that they don't do much with her character. Aquafina plays you. She's a girl who has panic attacks, and she's sent here to maybe stop those from happening. I've always hated Aquafina. Don't think they improve anything with her here because the first lines of her dialogue is her doing the what, bat, like talking like that. I understand she's a rapper. She should stick to rapping because everything I've seen her in, I found her fucking irritating. Uh, Jeremy, no wait, Isa Gonzalez plays Amarna. She's a singer that's sent here to like help with her public image or something. I liked her actually. I liked this actress. She's very pretty. That helps. And I kind of wish that she was in the Aquafina part because they're both playing singers. But I would have liked to have seen more of her than Aquafina. I kind of wish Aquafina went off the island halfway through the movie. Um, Jeremy Irvin plays Marcus, who's the person that Emma Roberts' character is actually in love with. He's there. He doesn't make much of an impression. Same with Arnaud Valois as son, the man that she's supposed to be forced to be married to. He's very prickish. That there, it's the stereotypical, oh, he's rich, so he's an asshole thing. And Mila Jovovich plays the Duchess. She's basically our villain of the film, and I think she does a pretty good job, actually. She does a very good job with these kind of, ooh, acting all prim and proper, and then at any moment snapping. I think she does a really good job with those roles. But the first thing I want to say about this movie, if you thought from the cover of the DVD that this would be a movie with some beautiful costumes, beautiful sets, imagery, um, you'd be right. It is a very well-made film from a production-wise, this looks like a more expensive movie. It does not look like a $6.5 million movie. Um, the costumes are all pretty unique to each of the girls. Um, the sets, wherever they use CGI, I never noticed any of it. I can usually notice it in lower budget stuff like this, but the CGI is definitely very um insanely well done for this budget. Um, again, most of the acting is pretty all right, and the score from I had to see his name, uh, Lucas Vidal. I've recognized the name. He did the score for Tracers, which I remember the score there being pretty all right. Um, but yeah, I if I were rating this film just from a purely audiovisual standpoint, it would easily be a 9. This movie is gorgeous. It is. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to review it based on what it does overall as a movie. And what it is kind of something that you've seen before. If you've seen a lot of these sci-fi, like, if you, I feel like there was a Black Mirror episode about this. I guess you could kind of say the Hang the DJ episode where it's the two people seeing if they're compatible with each other, that whole thing. Um, see if they're a perfect match for each other. You've seen stuff like this about perfection, people being sent to a boarding school in order to become perfect, and then there's some sinister secret. This isn't really anything original, um, at all. Does that mean I didn't enjoy it? No, I did enjoy it to an extent. It's just that the film doesn't really. It has moments where it feels like it's going to pick up, and then it really doesn't. And I'm just kind of like, wait, I thought we were going somewhere with this. And yeah, it just mostly feels like a bit of a letdown for many parts. And then the second half happens where stuff starts to really go places. And one thing I am really disappointed with films like this that are, I wouldn't say this is a fully feminist movie, but a lot of nowadays feminism movies do tend to not know how to write it in a natural way. Um, and not just feminism, the body shaming stuff and the things about perfection, especially in the first half, it was really clunky dialogue. I know I watch a lot of action movies and maybe those have clunky dialogue, but usually I'm distracted by the action and stuff happening. Um, in this film there's lines like at one point Daniel McDonald is like, "Yeah, my family doesn't like that I'm a little overweight." And for some reason they cast an Australian actress to play a country girl. That makes sense. Um, she doesn't do a bad job at it, but I was just like, something seems a little off here. But she's like, yeah, they don't like that I'm big boned or something like that. And then she's like, but I'm perfect just the way I am. Like, it's not even that I think she's not perfect. That's not my issue. My issue is that it's the same exact talking points that you hear feminists and SJW type people say all the time. And again, the actress isn't really even that overweight. She's just kind of a big girl, big woman. Um, and the other thing with, in terms of feminist stuff that they do, it's more just, oh, you have to be a proper lady, and the main character is so against that. Yes, the characters, oh god, I can actually say this film is one of those where pretty much every male character that you learn anything about has either done something bad or is a loser. Um, Pretty much at every point. Um, you basically got the boyfriend character who ends up kind of his selling Emma Roberts' character out, and then you've got the other guy who straight up is responsible for a guy killing himself, and you've got the dad character who's just like got nothing really. We really don't learn anything other than she takes after her dad more than her mom, and apparently the mom's a manipulative piece of shit. But it 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 just I get so tired of movies that try to push that stuff where it's like, yes, are there things that feminists talk about that can change? Yes. But when you shove it into every movie about like, oh, don't be what society tells you to be, it really comes off as definitely manipulative to your audience where they have to agree with your standpoint or else you see them as a bad person. When ultimately this shouldn't be this weird like, oh, if you don't agree with um if you don't agree with our standpoint, you're a bad person or you don't care about women, which is just not true. A lot of this movie, it both gets into that and doesn't. It kind of just brings that up at the beginning and then doesn't go through with it. If it wanted to say something a bit deeper about it, it would have made sense to go on this little tiny rant about, I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be my own person. They really don't go into that. And then it just kind of becomes a movie about cloning. Because, spoiler alert, again, I've already said in the title, spoiler, and I've said spoiler. What's really happening here is that the people running this island, including Mila Jovovich, are basically taking these girls and they aren't going back to their real homes. So basically, Isa Gonzalez's character leaves the movie halfway through because she's leaving the island. She's done with her training. But then the person that shows up on TV is basically not her. It's a clone. Um, and basically, this place is a cloning facility. Again, not an original concept. Um, Again, I don't need all originality. I don't. I just need an exciting movie, and this movie does get a bit there in the second half, but it's one of those that also is kind of it's both undercooked and overcooked. Too much time is spent on certain things, and too little time is spent on characters. Um, and Danielle McDonald and Aquafina's characters just get killed off near the end of the movie with almost no fanfare, and it feels like, why were we following these characters in the first place if they're just gonna die? Like, I swear to God, like, one scene, Emma Roberts and Daniel McDonald are next to each other running, and then the next scene, she walks into this, like, forest area, sees Isa Gonzalez's dead body, and sees Daniel McDonald dying in front of her. And I'm like, really? Did the writer not know how to have these characters leave the island? It would have been a bit more interesting if all of them had survived. But Aquafina is like dying from something. I forgot what exactly it was. It again, it's one of those movies that rushes itself and takes forever. Like they start to leave the island like an hour into this hour and 34-minute movie. And I'm like, isn't this usually something that would take place in the last 15 minutes? And it kind of it feels weirdly stretched out to an extent, and then Mila Jovovich is, I guess, like feeding off of the bodies, and she has like a rose bush around her. Like, again, I think Mila Jovovich is one of the saving graces of the movie. Her acting, she's out acting everybody in every scene she's in. There's a couple scenes where she snaps, and I think she really does show that she can act. She can act, and she shouldn't be judged for playing a badass in the Resident Evil movies and be like, oh, that's all her acting. But I just, I just wish I liked this movie more. It has such an interesting premise, and I've always been cool with that type of premise. But it brings up these things and just drops them, and it kind of makes the whole thing feel like it doesn't matter, you know? So yeah, not a ton else for me to say. It's just something I hate to see. And apparently, this was co-written by Nacho Vigalondo, who directed Open Windows, frickin' Colossal with Anne Hathaway, which I think was a marital abuse thing. I think that's what it was about. I'm not 100% sure. I like about a woman being abused. I haven't seen any of his directed movies, but yeah. Oh, Puka. I was curious about Puka. I'll put that on the watch list. But yeah, it's. I guess if you're into this type of thing, give it a try. Again, I know I've spoiled it, but it. The ending was kind of cool. I'll give it that. Again, if this movie wasn't nearly as beautiful as it is, it would probably be a 6 or a 5 maybe. Because a 5, and I wouldn't go lower because it is an interesting concept and there is clearly a lot of love put into this, even if the writing is very lackluster or too in your face. But yeah, um, that was my review of Paradise Hills. If you've seen the film, let me know down in the comment section. If you have any recommendations, put those down there as well. And movie reviewer next door out.